All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Did you guys buy anything on Cyber Monday? Any plans for the holidays? Of course, I want to talk about the middle class tax refund here in the state of California. I'm seeing a lot of people in the Facebook message board group say that they have actually received theirs now. So I'm just wondering how many of you are still waiting. Of course, and I'm also, though, seeing comments still that are like, my last name starts with a B or my last name starts with a C. And so, why are people whose last names start with T getting theirs before mine? So, let me tell you what I think is going on. What I think is happening is that maybe you don't remember it, but you file your federal taxes for free with like TurboTax, H&R Block, a tax preparer, someone like that. And that's usually free, right? Simple tax returns on the federal level are normally free. But when you get to the end of filing your federal taxes, then it asks you, do you want to file your state tax with us? And if you say yes, there's generally a fee somewhere between like $14.99 and $29.99. And very oftentimes it has you see if you qualify for a refund from the state too. And most of us say yes. It already has our information for our federal return, and you don't have to pay up front. So you're like, yeah, I'll just see how much I'm getting back from the state. Then, so you go through a few more questions. It tells you you're getting like a $200 refund. And then it says, do you want to pay that $14.99 to $29.99 to file the state taxes with us? And if you select yes, then it asks you another question. It says, do you want to take your tax preparation fees out of your refund? And if you're like me, then you say yes, because why would I pay the $15 to $30 upfront if you could just get like a little bit lower of a refund? So maybe that takes your $200 refund down to a $170 refund. And so I think most of us are saying yes to that. And so then the fees for your California state taxes are taken out of your refund, and that can trigger it to first be routed through your tax preparer's bank information. You can call the franchise tax board if you want, although I don't think they're giving out good information. Claimer, who I always have linked down below with their discount code, they'll call the franchise tax board for you, which will cut down on like hold time. But a lot of times these reps don't know what they're talking about. So, anyway, what's happening is if you had tax fees taken out of your return, it first tried to be direct deposited into your tax preparer's bank account. And then that's not supposed to be true, Debbie. So let me go through this scenario and then I'll get to that in a second. Um, So it's getting rejected from your tax preparer's bank, probably because it has your name on there. So a lot of times people are calling the franchise tax board and they're like, yeah, it was direct deposited. And then if you ask for the account number, it's not matching with your bank records. So, and then let's go through the timeline also. Remember that even on the website, it's saying to allow 2 extra weeks beyond the published date. And then if you call the franchise tax board, they're telling you that it could actually be up to 4 additional weeks. So I'm seeing a lot of you. Okay, Brian hasn't received his last name starts with S. Alicia says she has not received her middle class tax refund yet, and her last name starts with a B. And then Nene is waiting. So Debbie says if you owe anything to the tax franchise, you'll not receive anything. So that's not what it says in writing. Now, I will admit that sometimes these government websites don't always have accurate information, but when they put it in writing, that should be more reputable than what a rep tells you. Good morning, Rocky. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now on that middle class tax refund, where it says that if you owe, that it will not like, withhold that. Let me see if that's on the main page. They've got an update again. They've linked to a YouTube video. And for those of you telling me that you haven't received it, can you let me know if you received your Golden State stimulus at all? Because the requirements for this are different. The Golden State stimulus required that you had at least $1 in earned income. This, you can have a negative AGI and you can have like a $0 AGI, and you can have your only source of money have come just from unemployment benefits. But you did need to have filed your 2020 taxes. You also needed to live in the state of California in the year 2020 for at least 6 months, and you still need to be a resident in the state of California now to get it. Okay, so this is in the collections, offsets, withholding orders, wage garnishment, and levies section. So Debbie had said that if you owe anything to the tax franchise, you'll not receive anything. So right here, it says offsets. The MCTR payment will not be subject to offsets for debts owed to the Franchise Tax Board, the FTB, or other government agencies. So if you owe the Franchise Tax Board, you would still be eligible for the middle class tax refund, according to what they say on their own website. Um, Okay. Hi, Michelle. You're still waiting and your last name is S. So, two things I want to know is, did you receive the Golden State stimulus? And is there any chance that you had tax fees taken out of your refund on your state taxes? Okay. Elisa says, I was told by the Franchise Tax Board in August that I would be receiving it in November. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this up. Okay, yeah, so MB Russo, you are welcome. I'm glad that you caught that explanation. Yeah, and so I'm getting this from lots of people on a Facebook message board that I belong to. They're calling, they're like, "Why haven't I received it?" Franchise Tax Board's like, "Well, we mailed it out on such and such a date, but because you had tax preparation fees taken out of the state refund, so you may not even realize it because you're still getting money back. Um, they've tried to deposit it to your tax preparer's bank account. The bank information isn't matching. Then once that gets rejected, that registers with the Franchise Tax Board as a different bank account. Um, and it probably routes through your tax preparer's bank information first because that needed to happen in order for them to collect their tax preparation fees out of your refund. It had to be like routed through their bank before it's then routed onto your bank. So that is what's happening with that to a lot of people. And where does it say this? So it's registering that your bank information has changed, even if your bank information hasn't changed, if you had those fees taken out of your tax refund. So it says, if your bank account has changed, closed, or updated since your 2020 California tax return was filed, you will receive your payment by debit card in the mail. Note that 10 to 14 weeks should be allowed for processing, and that's after it gets rejected from a bank that's not even yours. Um, and then we're going to go back to this when you'll receive your payment section. So, and again, okay, even for some people who received the Golden State stimulus that did receive it, it still hasn't been sent out yet. So, with the last name S, LMNOPQRS, that would have been this group of 1120 through 12/3. So, they were still being mailed out even for people who got the Golden State stimulus with the last name S for someone in the comments, all the way through yesterday. And then down here, it says allow 2 weeks from the issue date to receive your debit card by mail. So That would still be 2 weeks from yesterday. Let me pull up the date. That would be all the way through December 17th. And then if you call the franchise tax board, they're saying to allow up to 4 weeks. So that's what's going on with that. But Maribel did receive hers. That's great. Her last name is V, and she got hers on Friday. So that is awesome. So, Alicia, that should be fine that you owe. That's not a deal breaker for to get this tax refund. Hi, Janet. It's always good to see you. Your brother finally got his MCTR debit card, and his last name ends with G. So, in theory, he should have already received his earlier, but it just took a little extra time. And then also, if people call the franchise tax board, they're being told, oh, the holiday delayed things. So they're giving like every excuse in the book about why you haven't received it, but really they're just guessing and I think trying to just get people off the phone. Hi, Miss Joy. Your daughter owed a small amount and hasn't received anything, so you're wondering if this is why. Our son received his already. We're still waiting too. I will say that when you owe, that usually means that they don't have your direct deposit information on file because you owed. So instead of them collecting your bank account information for direct deposit, you paid them. So that could just be the holdup on that. That they just don't have your bank account information because that definitely is something that causes you to receive it by debit card versus that direct deposit. Okay, so that should not be why, according to their own website. Okay, Siegel says, your desperate friend who took out the payday loan for 350 is now seeing that he will have a high interest rate. He feels really worried now. What is your advice? Fully pay the 350 when he gets the rebate. Yes. Yes, and actually my advice, chances are if he's got this payday loan, maybe your friend's credit isn't that good. But who does your friend do their banking with? I would see if he can get a personal loan for at a much lower interest rate because those payday loans, I'm never going to recommend anybody take those. Those should really be illegal in my opinion. Um they're very predatory. People don't read the fine print. I want to say that that interest accrues almost daily. It's already been a week since you told me he took one of those payday loans out. Um, and uh, uh, yeah. So what I would do is I would check with his bank or a credit union and I would just see if he will at all or she will qualify at all for a personal loan and find out if that interest rate is at, and then if he's this tight to the budget, I would maybe take out, this is what I would do, right? I probably would take out a little bit more than enough to pay off that payday advance loan, and I would take out enough to try and keep me afloat and then just make smaller payments back on that personal loan, either from his bank or from a credit union. If his credit's not great though, that that might be a little harder, but it's worth calling to ask anyway. Um, because yeah, those payday loans are, oh God, they're terrible. But yes, he needs to pay that off as soon as possible to avoid more and more and more interest accruing. It wouldn't surprise me if he already owed about $400 on that 350. It is a crazy, crazy amount. And again, I would try and do things to get money now. If that means putting a note on your neighbor's house and saying, "Hey, like, can I recycle your cans, bottles, and glass? I'll come by every Monday and collect it, leave it on the doorstep for me." Um, I would do that. I would see if he has anything he can sell on eBay. Like, I've got random stuff around my house. Like, we're most of us are around the same age. So like I used to have Magic the Gathering cards, right? I would see if those are worth anything, sell those on eBay. Any collectibles that he might have that he could part with, used clothes, maybe go to like not Salvation Army because that's all donation, but there are places, at least in LA County, like Buffalo Exchange and Wasteland and Jet Rag, and they will buy your used clothes from you. So maybe see if that's an option. Um, I would do everything in my power to try and make that money. Does this friend have the ability? I can't remember if I asked this last time, to drive for like Uber Eats or Postmates, anything to make that extra money to pay back that loan, and actually like maybe keep an Uber Eats or a Postmates side hustle even after he's paid back that money so that he's not so tight on his budget going forward. And I'm really sorry about all that. Okay, Brian says, I didn't receive the Golden State stimulus. You only had pandemic income. So, Brian, did you file your taxes? Because that's going to be really important. Guys, sorry about those spam comments. I just noticed those. But yeah, Brian, you should be eligible as long as you filed your taxes. He must have really needed the money to take a payday loan for 350. Hopefully he gets it soon so the interest rate um because the interest rate does rack up. Yes, it does. Miss Joy, maybe our daughter will still get it. Thanks for looking that up. You're very welcome, and hello to you as well. By the way, someone said that they missed the red lipstick and like the makeup. So I certainly, this is for you guys that I got all dressed up today. And then this is not a Christmas sweater, but it does have like lots of sequins on it. So people always think it is. This is like a peacock sweater, and I do tend to wear it. Look at all that. This was thrifted, but it's very sparkly. People always think it's a Christmas sweater, so I do normally wear it. Okay. Karina, what if I owe the IRS? So again, let me go back to that page and I will share that. So this is on the Franchise Tax Board website. You're going to go to the Help with the Middle Class Tax Refund, then Collections. Oops, did I not hit the right thing? I didn't hit the right thing. Okay, oops. Okay, Collections. The middle class tax refund will not be subject for debts owed to the Franchise Tax Board or other government agencies. So the IRS would be a government agency, so they're not supposed to like withhold it from you for that purpose. Hi, Curly. You do believe if you owe past due for child support, you'll not receive it. The IRS doesn't play about kids. Yeah, so let me go ahead and read that section also. It goes on to say, oops, garnishment orders. In general, the middle class tax refund payments are not subject to garnishment orders, with the exception of orders in connection with child support, spousal support, family support, or a criminal restitution payable to victims. So those are the scenarios where it would be garnished, but not for owing back taxes to the state of California and not to owing taxes to the IRS. Those are not supposed to be reasons that they'd withhold, but yeah, child support, they can. Hi, Bonnie. Good to see you. Family Dollar says payday loans are terrible. You once took 200 and ended up paying it off in 8 months for 1,500. This breaks my heart. It really does. I gotta start transitioning these videos and trying to help you guys like avoid ever needing that again. So again, I would even ask the neighbors about recycling, and I would take that recycling once a week, try and pick it up from your neighbors, get a little money from recycling, your bottles, cans, plastic. I would see if there's anything you can sell on eBay. I went through my grandma's cabinets. We had like Pizza Hut glasses with the Care Bears on them from when I was probably like 8 years old. Those are worth a little something on eBay. Not a lot, but every little bit helps when you're in a hole like that, right? See if that person can lower their expenses temporarily. Can they carpool with someone to work so that they're not like even using their own gas? If they're not using their own gas to drive back and forth to work, at least temporarily. If they're not driving at all, could they skip a month of car insurance? If are they paying any subscription services, Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime? Honestly, if you're in a situation where you've got a payday advance loan, like, it's not the time to have anything extra, unfortunately, and I know that that cannot feel good, especially around Christmas time, but yeah, $200 and you ended up paying 1,500. That is insane. Like, not against you, Family Dollar. I think anybody watching the channel knows that. It's insane that those businesses are allowed to operate and charge people like that. Like, it's really terrible. Okay. Patty Banks, you borrowed money for your car payment for new tires. You called Toyota and they gladly let me skip my payment on the first and tacked it onto the last payment. Then guess what? Your card arrived Friday. So, Patty, that is awesome that Toyota worked with you like that. I really like Toyota. I drive a little Prius C myself. Um, so Siegel, that is another tip maybe for your friend if they are making a car payment. Call your creditors. Call your anybody who has a loan with you, right? And see if they can lower your interest rate. Now, the payday advance people, they're not going to care. But occasionally, like if you call a credit card company and you say, hey, like, I've had this credit card for 2 years. I really like working with you, but I just got an offer letter from another company and they said that they can give me, I don't know, 14% interest instead of 22% interest. Can you guys just honor that rate? Sometimes they'll lower the interest rate on your credit cards. Sometimes if you have car payments or a home loan, sometimes, right, it was called mortgage forbearance. But that mortgage forbearance is available not just during the pandemic, that's available in some situations anyway. So if your friend has a mortgage, I would see about mortgage forbearance. And with the car company, just like they did with Patty, maybe they can let you skip 1 month of car payments and add it on to the end. And of course, I would even see about trying to refinance their auto loan. You guys know that I'm a big fan of that if they do have a car payment. Okay. Um, okay, we don't want, sorry, we're going to block. We don't want anybody to apply for a loan with Zelvin either, so I've just blocked them. Maribel says, I'm buying Christmas gifts with the MCTR for my kiddos. That's wonderful. I love that. I also love trying to find traditions that are low cost, right? Um, make hot chocolate together, make apple cider together, rent a DVD from the library, pick something on TV. Guys, I've been going through the Christmas movies, and I meant to watch 8-Bit Christmas last year. That is on HBO Max, but I get that free through my cell phone provider, so I'm not paying for HBO Max. But I liked that one. I saw A Christmas Story 2 on there. I'm watching some of the Disney ones, but pick one and make that the tradition. My mom loves Elf, so we usually watch that every year. This seems like a good time to let you guys know. Of course, I won't disclose where, but I am back at a movie theater. So I've returned to movie theaters, and it's so funny. I was going to come on here the other day, and I had socks on that were from the movie theater. They were for the movie Sherlock Holmes. One sock said no SH, you know the rest. And the other one said Sherlock. So no word I can't say on YouTube, Sherlock. Um, so the socks were from a movie promo. And then I was wearing like an Office Christmas Party shirt, which is like a movie where they have a fun office Christmas party. So anyway, I'm excited to be back at movie theaters because it's pretty ingrained in my life. But yeah, find traditions, drive around, look at Christmas lights. I know gas still isn't cheap. Alex says negative AGI people are not supposed to get it. yet. The mailing date is December 7th onward. Let me double check, because in theory, if you had a negative gross income, that would mean that you didn't get the middle class, the Golden State stimulus, because your AGI needed to have at least $1 in earned income. So if your AGI was 0 or negative, then that should mean that you didn't get your Golden State stimulus. And if you think that your adjusted gross income was 0 or negative, and you did get the Golden State stimulus, probably, like, you're unfortunately, I hate to say this, but you're probably misremembering either one piece of information or the other. We're still not on the right page. Okay, so this is the payment schedule. So, non-Golden State stimulus recipients. So if you had a $0 or a negative AGI, or your only income was from unemployment benefits, because that would be no earned income, then that should mean that you didn't receive the Golden State stimulus. So correct, Alex. Those payments start going out tomorrow, and then allow up to 2 weeks from the issue date to receive your debit card by mail. But again, the Franchise Tax Board is telling people 4 weeks. So if you didn't get your Golden State stimulus, in theory, they should not have started sending those out yet. What if it's supposed to be mailed? Yeah, so hopefully we just covered that, Alicia, but let me know if I didn't. Rocky, you learned never take a payday loan. $250 for you came to $500 with fees. Glad I paid it enough a long time ago, 20 years ago. Me too, Rocky. I'm glad. And you don't know. I found out how predatory those were when one of my coworkers told me that they took out one, and then I was trying to help him get his finances fixed. Unfortunately, he talked to me about it too late, and he did end up filing bankruptcy. For him, that was the right decision. That was not my recommendation. If you can avoid bankruptcy, right, Alex? I don't know if I finished saying this last week. You were saying that your grandfather felt like for student loan forgiveness, like people sign the contracts, they should be held responsible for paying back what they agreed to. And, if you can, yes. But sometimes when it's so predatory, like 200 turning into 1800 in 8 months, like that's crazy. Even paying double is kind of crazy, no matter how long it takes to pay it back. But, if you went out to Macy's and you bought a bunch of makeup and you bought a bunch of clothes and you knew you really couldn't afford it, and then you have always have something saved up for emergencies if you can. But, like, so maybe you think, "Oh, I'm good," but you're really tight on the budget, and you buy clothes and you buy makeup and you buy some skincare, and then your tires go out, and then you need a plumber to come to your house. Those kinds of things add up, and, like, I I wanna teach people to be more careful if they don't have an emergency fund set aside, so that they're not buying clothes and makeup and skincare from Macy's, at least, when they're that tight on the budget. Like, you always wanna try and allow yourself some wiggle room. Of course, like, you do wanna enjoy some experiences as well too, so it's a balance and it's up to each individual. But anyway, so I would have preferred to have helped my coworker avoid bankruptcy, but he was in too much debt by the time he really started talking to me about his finances. Okay, so Francis, I haven't got a Christmas tree yet, but think I think I'm gonna go pick up my mom. I think even though she's allergic, I'm gonna take her to the Christmas tree lot, because I just realized it's really just me. And is it even fun to decorate a Christmas tree if it's just you? So really, Mom, even though I'm pretending that this is nice and to spend time with you, I really just don't want to hang. I want to decorate an entire Christmas tree by myself. Like, that doesn't even really sound fun to me. So I need my mom's help to decorate the Christmas tree. That's what it's really about. So I think I'm gonna get her, but she was like, we don't have to do that. So I don't really know. But if I do get a Christmas tree, I'm gonna bring my mom over here because I don't want to decorate it by myself. Ben says, y that he doesn't mean to be mean to Siegel, but really your friend should just waited for the rebate for 350. He's gonna suffer now because of the payday advance. Yeah, so anything that you can do to avoid that. And Marlon, have you received your answer yet? I do have that payment schedule up. It's gonna depend a lot on, 1, did you get the Golden State stimulus? 2, did you have your tax preparation fees taken out of your state refund? I think a lot of people did and they just simply forgot. Again, if you are somebody who had those tax preparation fees taken out of your state refund, and watch the beginning of the video, I go over that in detail. Um, that's causing it to go to their bank first, not yours. It probably already tried to get direct deposited to your tax preparer's bank account. It's going to show up that it didn't match. Then 10 to 14 weeks from the time that payment's returned for processing, which is pretty much going to put you in that last group. Yeah. Mary, if that's the case, why did I receive all my other taxes, state returns to my bank account? So so it just kind of gets routed first through your tax preparer's bank account so that they can take out those fees. And then your tax preparer, after they get their cut for their fees, they send it on to your bank account information. But the franchise tax board probably sent your refund to your tax preparer first without you ever really knowing. And you didn't know because it gets routed to your tax preparer first so that they can take their fees out of your refund. They still have all your direct deposit information. So it's like H&R Block who's really sending it to you versus the franchise tax board sending it direct to you. Basically, it's like it has one stop before it gets to you. So like, let's say I lend my mom $100 and, wait, where was I going with this example? Let's say that I lend my mom $100 and then she lends it to someone else, right? She lends it to her neighbor. I don't know. So, but maybe the neighbor, maybe my mom like wants to pretend like she's not involved. So she just doesn't tell the neighbor. And she said, "Oh, Shelly, here's $100 from Shelly." But really, like it passed through her hands first. Does that make sense? I feel like that was not a good example. I'll think of a better example. But basically, it just goes to their bank account first. And that's what the franchise tax board has on file. But then H&R Block or TurboTax or whoever has your information. So after they get their fees out of your refund, then they send the rest to you. So that's what's messing it up. Rocky likes my look today, and you do think this is a Christmas sweater. It's not. It's a peacock. That's its tail, and that's its head's like way over here. Everybody thinks it's a Christmas sweater though, so I normally wear it at Christmas time. And today's the day. And someone else was saying that they missed the red lipstick look. So here it is in all its glory. Okay. Social justice warrior, negative AGI here. We aren't being processed yet. So starting tomorrow, and I don't remember what you told me your last name started with. So if you had a negative AGI, a $0 AGI, or if your only source of income was unemployment benefits or like pandemic funds, then that should mean that you never received your Golden State stimulus. And yeah, people that receive their Golden State stimulus, their money's not even supposed to be sent out until starting tomorrow. And then even on the website, it's saying to allow up to 2 weeks to actually get the card. And then if you call the franchise tax board, they're saying 4 weeks. Alicia, you're welcome. Francis says, you're worried they sent your check to the old address and you don't live there anymore. Francis, did you put like a forwarding address with the post office? Because yeah, they might try and send it to that address, and I know that you don't want that to go there. And have you updated your address on the franchise tax board website? Because you guys can do that. Okay, social justice warrior says, "The crunch is here. People that, don't have this that don't have this, need it before Christmas." Yes. But also, and I do think I'm gonna go ahead and get a tree, and I did get my mom some presents, but that's not the norm for us. Um, she's seen some of well, she's seen the packages for her presents, but there's 2 more, and those are the bigger ones. I don't think she's gonna like any of them, but that's okay. I'm gonna like them. Um, I had fun doing that, but generally, like, we don't really spend any money on Christmas, which is normally what I recommend. Siegel, like 10 days now. Yeah. So not sure if the interest already grew on his 350. It probably did. That's what makes the payday loans so bad is that I believe that interest accrues on them daily. In a second here, um, I'm skimming some. Oh, no. You know what? I just need to read these faster. You guys are active today. I love it. Okay. So Rocky says, I always give the best advice and you guys appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you very much. Ooh, guys, I also want to give a shout out. His name is Tyler. I hope I say his last name right. Blanchard. I made a community post about it yesterday. I met him just once, so we're like not friends, we're acquaintances. I call him my new bestie. He was very nice to me. He certainly is welcome to be my new bestie. And his girlfriend and all of their friends. And I got to be in one of their videos, and that was my first time really seeing like a bigger creator actually create their videos. I drove my friend Phidias to Yosemite, but I wasn't like with him when he was filming. So like I don't know like how he sets his camera up and things like that. I know he was just filming by himself, but like I didn't really get to see the process of the things that actually made it into his video. Whereas this, I was kind of with them all day and that was really fun for me to just kind of see the behind the scenes. He has almost 1 million subscribers. So if you guys haven't seen that, check that out. Okay, Francis, you need to figure out eBay for your purses. Yes, you do. And girl, I thank you so much for that purse that you gave me. I am still carrying it. It's still in good condition because I know I've asked you about my hair, which I do need to get dyed. Francis gifted me a purse in addition to dyeing my hair the last time I had that done. Good morning, Frank. Siegel says, your friend has an older car, so he can only do DoorDash and Uber Eats. He does this 2 hours every evening. Could he even up it to 30 more minutes a night? Could he start a little bit earlier or go a little bit later, at least temporarily until he gets that paid off? Okay, the big cheese. I don't like to be part of Facebook groups because some people say things like they were negative AGI and still got the debit cards. Those groups can cause more confusion. Yes, which is I agree. The big cheese. I'm sitting on my couch again, so had to move because my legs were going asleep. That is true. A lot of people are confused. I I'm usually a moderator in those groups and I try and help people in those groups as well. Not as much as I did with unemployment, because there was way more confusion about unemployment. But yeah, you're correct. A lot of times their information isn't correct. However, a lot of times the reason why they're confused is because when they call, even the franchise tax board is like not giving them correct information. Rocky, you are welcome. Anthony, you would do Uber Eats because you get impatient with people and food doesn't snap back and talk back at you. Yeah, and that was something that wasn't so I drove for Uber in 2014 for anybody that doesn't know, but I did not do it very long. I had purchased my car in September of 2013. So my car was under a year old and even people that were dressed nicely, and I thought, "Oh, I work at a movie theater. It's gonna be perfect. I get off, like, at 2 AM. That's when the bars close. I'll go pick up the people going to the bar that are getting out of the bars," which, like, pretty much guarantees that I'm picking up intoxicated people. Like, one day there was, like, a man sleeping on the sidewalk, and his friends was like, it's him," and I was like, "Can you even get him in the car?" Like, I had somebody else, like, pass out, like, fall asleep in the back of the car, and this was before, like, their route would come up, like, when you accept the ride or, like, once you pick the it's different now. So, I didn't know where he was going, like, I didn't know where his final destination was, and he was asleep, and I was, like, thinking to myself, like, "Can I just, like am I gonna be strong enough to roll him out of the car?" I drove around on the night of the Grammys, I picked up 2 men in tuxedos, and they promptly put their stupid shiny shoes up on, like, the headrest of the back of my car. My car was under a year old, and, like, my mom has taught me really, like, don't have things that you have to keep, like, that good a care of, right? Like, it's nice to have nice things, right? And you should take care of the things you have, but at the end of the day, they're just things. But, like, so what the heck? So, like, if somebody accidentally dings the side of my car with their car door, I don't freak out about it, right? And I like having a car that I don't freak out about that at. And or like, if something cosmetic if somebody lets a shopping cart go and it puts a little dent in the car, no big deal. If somebody taps my bumper and it doesn't, like, cause damage to, like, the lights or something, I'm not gonna freak out about it, right? Because it's just cosmetic. As long as the car runs, like, what do I care? But to me, that was just so disrespectful. These men in, like, nice tuxedos, and they're just putting their feet up against the headrest in the back of my car that's less than a year old. Like, that's like, you wouldn't even do that in a taxi. Like, why would you come in my car and do that? Ugh. Anyway, that I like talking to people in case you guys can't tell, but yes, 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 and yes, those are all reasons to do Postmates or Uber Eats instead of actually driving people around. Because they were just rude. And then I felt like as a driver, I felt like I couldn't say, "Hey, get your nasty feet off the headrest of my car," because, oh no, you can't risk somebody like not rating you well because then you're not going to get right. I don't know, whatever. My experience driving Uber was not great. I know Josh, I don't know if he's in here. He was driving Uber before he just switched over to being a mechanic. And, like, I don't know anybody who's had really good experience actually driving Uber. And speaking of predatory lending, do not finance your car through Uber. Don't do their leasing program if you are gonna do Uber. But anyway, yeah, have your friend do that. Okay, Linda, before taking out a loan, you urge people to do this. Please, please, please read the fine print. And, like, honestly, like, you guys can email me, because I love hold on. I don't know, like, if my channel suddenly blew up, um, I don't know if I'd be able to do this. Don't send me, like, your address and stuff, but I'm gonna type my email in the chat, shellysbillions@gmail.com. That's gonna be the best one right now to email me at. I'm not sure if I'm keeping my website next year, and that's billions with a B because Shelly's Millions was already taken in terms of email. But if you wanna be like, "Hey, Shelly, I'm being offered this interest rate for this type of loan. Do you think that's good?" And of course, it's just gonna be my personal opinion because I see you guys as friends, right? Like, not just subscribers, but it's not like official financial advice, but if you guys wanna send me something to look at, I'm more than happy to do that as long as it's not, like, too many people. Because I love, like, seeing what kind of interest rates other people are being offered and things like that, like, just a little nosy, like, I wanna see, like, "Oh, is it the same as what I'm being offered?" And if not, like, I do have a good credit score, but I want you guys to get the best possible offers that you can as well. Sometimes you can negotiate those rates and things. But yeah, so read the fine print. And I think a lot of times people don't understand interest and how it compounds, and this is why people don't invest and why investing is so important is that compounding interest. So often the interest rate on those payday loans accrues daily. So maybe on he took out the loan on a Monday for 350 and by Tuesday maybe he owes 352. And so by Wednesday they're calculating the interest on 352 and now he owes, he just paid $2 interest for one day and now maybe the next day he's paying $3 interest and then the next day like 6. It can get really crazy really fast. And Janet, it should be outlawed. the payday advance loans absolutely should be outlawed. The big cheese, you would buy gifts, but you didn't get any middle class tax refund, MCTR, so credit cards it is. Or get one board game, spend some time with your family. Guys, on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving, I played Monopoly with my mom and I actually won. And it was just the two of us playing, and I won under an hour. It was like a 52-minute game. May have been the shortest ever two-person Monopoly game. So my mom, she's now saying she let me win. Anyway, okay, Infinity, good to see you in here. Your roommate told you that he's envious you got the 350 and he didn't. You feel some people are kind of jealous over the people that got it already. And that's always going to be, right? This is something that I've talked about in terms of like the student loan forgiveness, which is still on pause right now. I have an article up that I do want to read on that in a minute. Rocky, thank you. I'm so happy to be back. Francis, yep. And Francis will go to the movies again. Debbie B says your husband went to the franchise tax board here in Sacramento and they told him if they owe any taxes, we will not get it. That's not right. Debbie, you asked this question at 11:26. I don't even know if you're still in here, but I'm going to pull up the part in writing where it literally says the opposite. So I'm help with the middle class tax refund, collections, offsets, withholdings, offsets. It says right here, I'm writing, and I'm on the franchise tax board website. Offsets, the MCTR payment will not be subject to offset for debts owed to the franchise tax board, the FTB, or other government agencies. So I'm so sorry, but I think he was given wrong information. But won't that be a pleasant surprise if he does get it? Yeah, that's not right, though, Debbie. John P. Hi, how are you? Even though you received the 3 stimulus payments, you did not receive either the Golden State stimulus or the middle class rebate despite filing yearly taxes. Why is that? So that could have to do with the adjusted gross income, that AGI. So for the Golden State and it could be that you made too much money. So this MCTR, the middle class tax refund, is much easier to qualify for than the Golden State stimulus was. So Golden State stimulus, you couldn't have a $0 AGI. You needed to have at least $1 in earned income. You couldn't have a negative AGI. So like if you had a business, it couldn't have lost money that year. And earned income. So like unemployment benefits, even though we were eligible to receive those, we didn't like go out and exchange labor to receive them. I mean, at some point we did, but that was in the past. So if your only source of income in 2020 was like unemployment benefits or something that you like some way that you got money, but you didn't like earn it, like through work, then you wouldn't have qualified for the Golden State stimulus. And then there were upper income levels on the Golden State stimulus. I want to say that the most you could have made was $75,000. I don't remember all the requirements for the Golden State stimulus offhand, but it could just be that you made too much. Whereas, like with the middle class tax refund, you can make as an individual all the way up to $250,000 a year and still qualify. Maribel, for California, have you heard when the pandemic EBT 3.0 will be reloaded to LAUSD students? I haven't, but if you want to sit tight, I will look that up. Okay. Hi, Miss Pretty Lady. Let me read Debbie's comment. Then I'm going to read, I know I'm skipping a few. I'm going to do Anthony's. Anyway, Mary, did I accidentally skip the first part of your question? Mary, I don't see the first part of your question. Okay, so Debbie says, I'm still hoping that we will. We don't owe child support or anything like that, but we owe taxes now. So I don't know. It says in writing that you should get it. Okay. Infinity says your parents always have an emergency fund. Not sure how much, but you think it's more than 20K. That's a comfortable safe. Yeah, that's a lot. So okay. I'm not a financial expert, right? I've just done well with my own finances, or at least I'm trying to. I've done okay. I bought my own house. It's little, but I love it. Okay, so also my window is dirty. Do I have to clean that before the Christmas tree comes. What are those? Who do I pay to clean this window? I feel like I clean windows and then they like look streaky. Anyway, totally went off on a tangent. Most people who are financial advisors, it used to be the advice was keep a 3-month emergency fund. Then they upped it to keep a 6-month emergency fund. And now the advice is to keep like at maximum in the bank, no more than a year's worth of emergency funds. So if that 20,000 would last them more than a year of expenses, it might be time for them to think about investing some of that money. You guys know I like Webull. They're running a great holiday promotion. I want to say they're giving out like 12 free stocks right now. So my link is always in the description down below. But if they have that much of an emergency fund, they might want to consider investing some of it. Okay. Francis is saying, get the tree with my mom. She'll love it and it'll be worth the memory. But she's allergic to it. So it's like one of her last memories of Christmas. Well, hopefully we're gonna have like many more. But like is one of her recent memories of Christmas just gonna be like being allergic with me helping making her help hang ornaments. Okay, Andrew. So your last name starts with an M. It really depends on if you had those fees, your tax preparation fees taken out of your refund, and if you got your Golden State stimulus at all. Mary, it cut off the beginning of your question, so if you could ask it again, that would be great. So, Miss Pretty Lady, you can't really check the status of your middle class refund. Even so, Debbie B, she even just said that her husband went into the franchise tax board and she was given information that blatantly contradicts what the franchise tax board has in writing on their website. So, like Claimer was great for calling the EDD for unemployment benefits. They've been helpful in some situations calling the IRS. They do call the FTB for you, but I almost like, even though I like Claimer, I don't recommend them for calling the FTB because the information coming out of the franchise tax board regarding the middle class tax refund just does not seem to be accurate. Hi, Lisa. Do you think that a severe recession is coming? Because even the tech companies are laying off lots of people. Yes, let's put a pin in that. Let me answer the PEBT, then we'll answer that. And then I have an article up about student loan forgiveness. I don't even know if I'm going to have time to get through all these comments. Curly, thank you. Your letter M, Marie, and it's past 4 weeks. So let me go back to this. We might go a little bit longer today. We'll see. Ba, 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 ba. So letter M, I'm going to assume that you did receive your middle class tax refund. Those were still going out through 11/19 and 4 weeks after 11/19. So week 1 would have been November 26th. Week 2 would be December 3rd. Week 3 would be December 10th, and week 4 would be Saturday, December 17th. So we're not quite at the end there yet. Uh-oh, Ms. Lunatic. You received your middle class tax refund via debit card on 11/28. Last name starts with L, married filing jointly. I love it when you guys also shared that kind of information that was super specific and had all the details that we need for us to kind of have that be helpful. Congratulations. Aw, cool. Debbie, you're welcome. Yeah, this is Jenny Silver and I, through the whole pandemic, we just tried to help people sort out like the lies that they were being told by customer service reps. Like, and it's crazy the amount of misinformation that these people can give. Okay. Uh-oh. Jason, your work has recently just started deducting $75, a paycheck for a retirement fund. You didn't even sign up for it, too. So I do think, yeah. Okay. And I can't remember if California actually passed this or not. But a lot of states, a lot of employers are going to where they're having it automatically taken out. Jason, I would recommend letting it stay, right? I cannot tell you guys, and this is if you can afford it, I would do it. It's probably saving you taxes. So at a place where I used to work, they would like send people information about signing up for the company's 401k plan. And I can't tell you guys how many people would talk to me about it, but they would say, well, and I would try and explain it, right? But it takes a little time and there's lots of different investing strategies. And certainly when I was their boss, I had to be even more cautious about the information I was giving than, say, like you guys on the internet, because on the internet, I can very well say, like, I'm not a financial advisor, but when I'm their boss, it hits different a little bit, right? So I had to be really careful. And they would say, like, well, Shelly, I'm going to take this home and I'm going to look at it. But even within a 401k, there's often like lots of different choices and lots of different strategies that you can use to invest in the company's 401k. And company 401k does not mean company stock. So I don't know if it passed or not. I can't remember, but there's programs that basically, like, people took the information home and they never made a decision, right? And not participating is worse than like making a bad decision on which investments to go in, because some investing is going to always beat out no investing, right? In my opinion. So they were working on a law that said that employers actually had to do that. They had to like kind of take money out first, and then instead of asking employees to opt in, they were going to make employees opt out. Um, because basically, like, when people are left to sign up on their own, they weren't doing it. So they were trying to pass a law, and I can't remember if it did pass or not, but they were saying, like, where the employer would automatically enroll you, and then if you don't wanna be in, then you need to opt out. So, yeah, but Jason, in general, I'm gonna go with, it's better to be investing something than nothing. Okay, W says, "Do I think the YouTube algorithm is unfair to smaller channels?" They say no, all the people that know more about YouTube than I do. Um Sometimes I think that I frequently wonder if I think my videos now, they've been like, "Oh, people in California like to watch Shelly's videos," especially people in Los Angeles, California. I'm not even sure how often YouTube is showing my videos to people that don't live in the state of California, which is probably really limiting my audience now that I am trying to expand into different content. I think that there's a lot to learn in terms of YouTube, and I think that YouTube is a lot harder than people think it's going to be. Like, even YouTube could punish me for the lighting. I'm just using natural light from this window that's right here that I need to clean. But like half of my face isn't lit well. Um, Things like that. And I when I say punish, I just mean, like, maybe the algorithm picks up that I'm not being professionally lit. I don't know. It'll be funny and cute. She can wear a mask, my mom. Okay, some got their debit cards already, so you're saying it's not past 4 weeks. Correct. Oh, some M's. Right, it hasn't quite passed that 4 weeks. So even there in writing, that's 11/19 was the last mailing date. In writing, they're saying allow up to 2 weeks, but the full 4 weeks wouldn't be until December 17th. So I would still give it a little bit of time. Okay, let me look at the PEBT, and then we'll talk about, like, the recession and tech jobs. And this kind of plays into, like, why I'm going back into movie theaters. Um, so let me talk about the tech layoffs while I'm looking up the PEBT information. I think a lot of people that were in tech, right? Those are largely jobs that are here in the state of California, and there have been a lot of layoffs. So those people were probably making a lot of money. And what other positions pay a lot of money? Management positions, which is the type of job that I'm hoping to get. So I think that a lot of people that were in the tech industry, if they don't go back into the tech industry, they're likely going to be looking for positions in the management field, which means that even positions that aren't necessarily related to the tech industry it's going to be a lot more competitive to get those jobs. So when I had the opportunity to go work for this employer with an industry that I'm familiar with, I jumped at the chance because I don't want to wait too long, like just kind of hoping that YouTube will work and applying for those dream positions and like now having the market and people that are also looking for management jobs really oversaturated with maybe people from the tech industry looking at this at similar management positions to the ones I'm looking for. So, yeah. Okay, let's look at the PEBT 3.0. So, Maribel, let me put yours back up there. And yeah, I mean, I don't think that's good. And I think that basically when the Fed raises interest rates, like those percentage points, they're actually trying to make the labor market worse. They're trying to make um the unemployment rate go higher on purpose. It's like they want us to this is really it. They want us to have less money to spend because basically as long as we're willing to pay these crazy high prices, the stores are going to keep inflation high. Like the cost of goods is going to be expensive. But that's a backwards way for the Fed to think of it, in my opinion, because I think where we're really spending money is on necessities, on like toilet paper, gas, food. So until they figure out how to bring the cost of like actual living cost, energy, our gas and electric bills, until they figure out how to lower those things, like I don't think that they should be raising interest rates. Raising interest rates normally means that you're paying more interest when you are paying back those credit card fees. Okay. Um, California Pandemic EBT 3.0. CA Pandemic EBT 3.0. Let's see what this says. I feel like all this okay. This is from November 21st of 2022. This is from the California Department of Education. Let's make sure we're still sharing this correctly. Sorry, I'm going to try and skim it because this looks a little bit long. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. It provides school food authorities, SFA, information and resources about the pandemic electronic benefit transfer program for school year 2021 through 22 and summer of 2022. Oh no, we need more than that. Summer 22. Oh. It just says that they'll be loaded to existing cards in December. So it looks like December. Hold on. Please note that PEBT benefits are based on the amount of time a student missed school meals because they attended school through the independent study or attended school in person but had excused absences of at least 5 days or more during a month, presumed due to COVID-19. Therefore, the number of students that qualify for PEBT in school year 2021 through 2022 and corresponding benefit levels may be significantly lower than in prior PEBT issuances. PEBT cards will be issued to each eligible student in a household. For example, a family with 3 eligible children would receive 3 PEBT cards, one assigned to each child. There is a helpline here. I would probably call this number, the helpline, 877-328-9677, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. to ask about that. Let me reread this sentence slower. Please note that PEBT benefits are based on the amount of time a student missed school meals because they attended school through independent study or attended school in person but had excused absences of at least 5 days or more during a month, presumed due to COVID-19. So, does that mean you needed to miss at least 5 days of school to be eligible for the PEBT? And I worry that maybe I just don't know enough to speak about that. Okay, we touched on the recession. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, Sylvia says you're in Philly, not sure how you got directed to my channel. Well, me either, but hi, Sylvia. I love to talk about finance, and I'm glad to know that YouTube is showing my channel to people outside of the state of California. I very often talk about issues that just affect California, but today on this live, we've been talking a lot about how predatory those payday advance loans are. So thank you for joining. I love to talk about all things finance. So let me know if you have any questions or you just want to talk money or budgeting or any of that. Nikki says, should I call? My last name ends in G. I did get the Golden State stimulus. However, I changed my bank account info first. So no, let me go back to the Franchise Tax Board website really quick. So you're for sure going to be in the last group of people. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but definitely don't call. And oh my goodness, I'm not in the right section. Hold on, sorry. Oops, come on. Now my mouse isn't wanting to roll. Okay, so because you changed your bank account, it says it right down here in writing. So we're not going to worry about the fact that you received your Golden State stimulus because it says direct deposit recipients who have changed their banking information since filing their 2020 tax return, that automatically puts you into the group where they're not even being sent out until December 17th through January 14th. And then you're supposed to allow up to 2 more weeks from that issue date to receive it by mail. So you'd be looking at 2 weeks past January 14th before you'd be worried about not receiving it. Yeah, Curly beat me to it. Yeah, that's that January group. Raymond, hi, it's good to see you. You received the middle class tax refund already and you transferred the whole amount to your regular bank. Good. That is awesome. Weedleman says, is there any way to check if you will get the middle class tax refund? So you can call, but often the Franchise Tax Board does not seem to know what they're talking about. Okay. They're probably tied to direct deposit into your tax preparer's account, but now it's diverting your money by debit card, which is a little delay. Yeah. Okay. I do want to really quickly, before I hop off, I want to talk about what happens if the Supreme Court doesn't approve the student loan forgiveness. So this is an Business Insider article, and it says Biden's student loan forgiveness might not be doomed if the Supreme Court strikes it down. He could take another legal path. Well, what is it? Okay. Oh, dang it. Okay. Gloria Weiss, 64, is furious that student loan forgiveness still hasn't reached her $31,000 balance. Let me read this. Biden's student debt relief remains blocked in courts following conservative-backed lawsuits. A primary argument against the relief is that it violates the authority under the HEROES Act, and some advocates and lawmakers argue the Higher Education Act can be used to cancel student loan debt. So that's what they're trying to figure out. Okay, so since taking out Parent Plus loans for her son in 2010, a type of student loan parents can take out under their own names to cover up to the full cost of attendance for their children, Weiss says she has been on a standard repayment plan with payments reaching over $900 a month before the pandemic hit. Okay, that's also a crazy amount, but after Joe Biden announced $20,000 in student debt relief for Pell Grant recipients and $10,000 in relief for other federal borrowers making under $125,000 a year, Weiss looked forward to that loan forgiveness and the lower monthly payments it would bring. That excitement only lasted so long. A number of conservative-backed lawsuits seeking to block the relief have gained traction over the past months. And in mid-November, 2 federal courts ruled the relief cannot move forward, keeping it from reaching millions of borrowers. The uncertainty of the relief is weighing on Weiss after her husband lost his job. She took on part-time work on top of her regular job as a teacher, and she had to begin digging into her retirement funds to afford the monthly student loan payments. This is not a fun financial situation to be in. She's not secure. We're barely making it, she said. I don't want to dig into my retirement funds, and I'm very stressed, so anxious on this roller coaster of emotions. While student loan debt relief isn't completely off the table, the Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that it will hear arguments on the lawsuit blocking relief in February. There still could be another way Biden can get loan forgiveness to millions of Americans. A primary thread, okay, hold on. A primary thread among the lawsuits is that Biden's overstepping his authority by enacting one time debt relief using the HEROES Act of 2003, which gives the Education Secretary the ability to waive or modify student loan balances in connection with a national emergency, like the COVID-19 pandemic. Biden's administration, along with some legal experts and advocates, have maintained that the authority clearly exists under that law. But given it's the root of many of the challenges to the loan forgiveness, some have argued Biden can save the relief by turning to a different authority, the Higher Education Act of 1965. I believe it probably would have been better for him to use the Higher Education Act of 1965, Weiss said, and that's what I want him to do today. I want him to use that today, and I want him to do it immediately without delay, because the wait opens the door for more lawsuits, which will come. Why courts are debating the HEROES Act? Biden's administration has said on numerous occasions that student loan borrowers are continuing to recover from the pandemic, and using the HEROES Act to provide one time relief falls within the realm of the law. Both former President Donald Trump and Biden have used the same authority to pause student loan payments, a pause Biden just extended for his sixth time through June 30th, 2023 at the latest. But remember, the payments wouldn't actually resume until 60 days after that. Former Rep. George Miller, an architect of the HEROES Act, even wrote in an amicus curiae, I don't know if I said that right, brief to the Supreme Court that the debt relief falls exactly under the Education Secretary's authority. So basically, they're saying an architect means he helped write the HEROES Act. So he wrote in this thing that I can't pronounce, amicus curiae. I like that word if I'm saying it right. Anyway, so he helped write it, and he's saying, yeah, that falls exactly under the Education Secretary's authority. So he's saying that the courts should side with Biden on this. Okay. As our brief shows, Congress used broad language in the text of the HEROES Act to make clear that the Education Secretary has extensive authority to respond to national emergencies, and that the history of the law confirms that it authorizes comprehensive actions when the circumstances call for them, Miller's filing said. While the states challenging the debt relief plan may not like it as a matter of policy, their contention for that loan forgiveness plan exceeds the administration's authority is completely without merit. Many Republicans don't see it that way. The 6 Republican led states who filed the lawsuit blocking debt relief in the 8th Circuit wrote in response to the Biden administration's request for the Supreme Court to revive the debt relief that the HEROES Act text and context demonstrate that its purpose is to keep certain borrowers from falling into a worse position financially in relation to their student loans. Yet the Secretary uses it here to place tens of million borrowers in a better position by canceling their loans en masse. The filing continued. The act does not allow the Secretary to effectively transform federal student loans into grants. It is telling that the Secretary has never before used the act in this way. Well, because we've never had a pandemic before. Jeezy crazy, this makes me annoyed. But anyway, along with the 8th Circuit ruling, a federal judge in Texas ruled Biden's student loan forgiveness illegal partially because the pandemic was declared a national emergency almost 3 years ago and declared weeks before the program by the president as over. Thus, it is unclear if COVID-19 is still a national emergency under the act. Oh, that's interesting. So they're trying to get him on that. Anthony Fauci told the nation's top infectious disease expert told NBC on Sunday that the US certainly is still in a pandemic. Okay, so this is the alternative. It took us this long in this article to get to this. Thank you guys for sticking through. The Higher Education Act as an alternative. Some Democratic lawmakers and experts argue that the authority to cancel student debt has always existed under the Higher Education Act. Under the Act's compromise and settlement authority, it states that the Education Department can enforce pay, compromise, waive, or release any right, title, claim, lien, or demand related to federal student debt. Okay. In February 2021, State Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Massachusetts Representative Ayanna Pressley led a group of Democratic colleagues in introducing a resolution outlining a plan for Biden to cancel student debt using the Higher Education Act, which does not require a connection to a national emergency. Okay, so it says President Biden has the legal authority to cancel billions in student debt with the stroke of a pen, and he must meet the moment by using that authority, which would not only set us on a path to an equitable recovery but would also help reduce the racial wealth gap, Presley said at the time. Legal experts have also voiced support for the Higher Education Act. In September of 2020, the Legal Services Center of Harvard Law School wrote a memo for Warren outlining why the act gives Education Secretary authority to cancel student debt broadly. The memo said that the secretary has the authority to modify a loan to zero and exercises this authority even in the absence of any implementing regulations. Okay, and we're finally at the end of this article, and it says the Education Department did not immediately respond to Insider's request for comment on whether it is considering pursuing alternative routes to debt relief, including via the Higher Education Act. So, what I would recommend is if you're waiting on that student loan debt forgiveness to come through, I would write to your assembly member and say, hey, please reach out to the president. We want him to use the Higher Education Act to enact student loan forgiveness. Okay. Hi, Scotty. Good to see you. Weedleman, thank you. You're the best. You guys are the best. I really appreciate all of you. Nikki, you're welcome. Marie, you called. She told me it was approved October 25th, getting the debit card for $700. Now you're telling me this. Wow, I hope that's not the case. Yeah. So, yeah, if you were told you were getting it October 25th and you haven't yet, that does most likely mean that it was first sent to the bank account that they had on file in 2020. Then it gets rejected, and now it won't be going out until late December through mid-January, and then allow at least 2 weeks past that to get it. Okay, Sylvia. A miscus brief means friend of the court. These briefs are filed by entities that are not part of the lawsuit but have public opinion about it. See, Sylvia, this is why you wound up in here to help me out with that. Amicus, I'm going to read that again for my understanding. If you're new here, politics are not my thing. I just got into like trying to carefully read these documents because it's so frustrating how often like information is not relayed in its entirety to the public. Okay. An amicus brief means friend of the court. These briefs are filed by entities that are not part of the lawsuit but have a public opinion about it. So that actually seems good if they're getting like outside opinions. Okay. Ironically, the plaintiffs in the student loan case were not affected by it. It's just a case of judge shopping by the Republicans. So actually, not in this article, but in an article that I've read on previous live streams, the judges, or not the judges, but the plaintiffs, they actually didn't qualify for student loan forgiveness. I think they just kind of filed these lawsuits because they were bitter that they didn't qualify. So they were like, well, if we don't qualify, we don't want it for anybody else. And this, I think, is like, regardless of political party, I think, and I've been guilty of this myself too. I've had to like kind of check myself and be like, hey, this isn't like the right way to think about things. So And Alex and I were talking about this earlier with her grandfather. So, if you just look at it like, I don't have student loans, or I agreed to this level of debt, so I should pay it back. It's frustrating to see somebody get something that you're not getting, but at the same time, if we just look at things from a me perspective, society as a whole is gonna suffer a little bit more, I think. Like, we really have to look outside of ourselves and see how this could benefit a lot of individuals. Um, I know that, like, one of the ways I had to check myself on this was when people were getting those boost on unemployment benefits. So, I had an employee who only worked 10 hours a week, but because of the boost in those unemployment benefits, like, somebody who only worked 10 hours a week was getting about the same as I was. And I was kinda like, "That's really not fair." But if you look at it from that standpoint, like, the extra boost in the unemployment benefits, it was to pay people to stay home. It was to give that person who usually doesn't have maybe extra money to spend, to have extra money to get, like, Uber Eats and Postmates delivered so that they could keep their heinies at home, to keep people like my mom, who we were worried was gonna be allergic to the vaccine, to keep her safe and protected. If that meant that people were gonna get extra money and they were gonna buy an Xbox with it, so be it, if that kept you home to keep everybody else safe. I know we're in a different position now, but, like, that was one of the situations where my initial reaction was like, "Hey, that's not fair," and then I had to really look at the bigger picture to be like, "Oh, okay, maybe that is a good idea." Okay. And then Marie says, "You heard about that, but you thought if your payment was direct deposit, but saying to you the wrong account number, which could be your tax preparer's account." Right. So if they gave you your tax preparer's account, yeah, that could change. Marie, did that make sense? Hopefully the way I just explained it made sense. Okay. And you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and head out for the day because I streamed a little bit longer today than I thought. If me and my mom do put up a Christmas tree today, maybe I'll go live with her and you guys can watch that. So, mom, wear clothes where you'll look nice from the back so that people can see us decorate the tree. I don't know. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Don't forget that I stream live every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. and Monday at 9 p.m. All right, have a great rest of your day, everyone.